right, we're going to open the Carver Finance Committee for January 7th, 2022. The time is 7:01. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'd like to offer a quick moment of silence for just a quick prayer for Walter's grandson, who I think everybody's well aware of where Shane is, so just a quick thought would be great. We wish him well, and we hope he gets right back on his feet, Walter. All right, the meeting's being recorded by Area 58. There's nobody from the audience for public comment. Town Administrator, Finance Director update. If you want to hold off until after we do the budgets, or you can come in ahead of time, whatever your pleasure is fine with me. All right, well, why don't we go right into operations and maintenance.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Hey, Dave. We're not doing your capital tonight. We're just doing, unless there's a specific question, but
No.
capital outlays already met with O&M, I assume?
Yes, that is
And
correct.
so that it will come to us on our joint meeting with capital outlay, so you don't have to go through that dog and pony show.
Okay. And I apologize, I'm not texting, I'm actually texting with the IT director, and he said, okay, the guest is now open, Mr. Chair. It was disabled, it is now on.
It was disabled.
Yes.
That's awesome. All right, well, I'm not gonna pause the meeting while we go connect all back up again, so.
Okay. All right, we'll jump into my budget. I assume we'll just go over any changes from last year. If there's anything specific, certainly please stop me, and I'll I'll more than be happy to elaborate. So going down, I assume you have a copy of the budget. Going down the changes in the department head. The department head is actually two. It's myself and Deputy Director John Woods. There is a 1.84 increase in there. I assume that is a COLA that was put in there. The next line would be regular salaries. You will see a 9.44% increase in that. I am looking to add a position in the department, and what this position will be an assistant deputy director in the department. So the structure of the operation maintenance department, I am the director. The department is structured so we have two divisions. We have a DPW division, and then we have maintenance, operations and maintenance division. On the DPW side, under me is Deputy Director John Woods. John oversees a lot of the DPW functions, the administrative work and that, the Chapter 90 work, the road work. John handles the majority of that, if not all of it. Under John, we have a foreman who works with the crew, and the foreman oversees 6 people. There are also 2 mechanics. There's a head mechanic and assistant mechanic. That comprises the DPW division. On the other side, out of the 30, I oversee as well an additional 18 people, and that is 3 maintenance people and 15 custodians between town and school that take care of all the town buildings and the schools. So what I'm looking to add is on the building side of things, which we have 15 municipal buildings that we take care of, there is no one. I have to be involved in the day-to-day operations, which takes up a lot of my time. What this position really should be doing is focusing on larger projects, capital projects, building projects, which we handle, but an additional position would take up and it would add to the day-to-day. It would be an in-between person in between me and the people actually doing the work. It will make the department much more streamlined and allow this position to focus on larger projects that are always going to be ongoing. Currently, through capital, as you know, we're looking to do about $1.5 million worth of mechanical work over at the town library. This building needs new siding. Those buildings, those projects take a lot of time and effort, and we want to make sure they're done right. And that starts way before the project even begins, and making sure that it is specified outright, the specifications, and during construction it is done right. So those take up a lot of time. And another position will greatly allow this position, my position, to focus on those larger projects to make sure the town is getting exactly what they should be getting as far as quality of work for longevity for the assets of the town.
We've been talking about this for a couple of years. This has
We have
been on
been.
your wish list for a while.
It has been. It's been in the works for a while, and I just think that is an exposition that would greatly improve the department. So what I did is, it is a non-union position. It is in a town position, non-union, and I put it as there's a chart for all the town employees. I made it a grade C, step 1, which is below, because I'm calling it, and I think it fits, as an assistant deputy director, where John is a deputy director, John is a grade A. This is a grade C, which would place that position below him. Not quite as much responsibility, no matter how much seniority some has. This position would not have as much responsibility as John has on the town side.
But I assume you're going to want someone with similar mechanical knowledge.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
you're the guy that they call when there's no hot water, you're the guy they call when there's no heat, you're
Yes.
the guy they call when there's a problem mechanically in any one of the buildings.
Correct.
On the rooftop.
Someone
So
with
you're gonna
that
need somebody with a
knowledge
mechanical
would be very
background.
valuable. Yes, that's what I envision. Someone with building expertise in this
So
position.
you send him on the roof in the snowstorms.
And I'm always available. It's just that right now I get pulled out of my office more
That's right.
than I'm in my office. And
Well, I also
really
see your
should be
truck
in the
parked
office.
there at 6 o'clock in the morning. So, I know you've made your rounds and you're in
Yeah.
the building here at 6:15 when I come by.
Yep, and that won't change. It's just me being able to focus what the position should be able to focus on. So that's the addition in that line right there, if that were to go through. The next change would be and do we have any questions on that? I can answer while we're on that.
How much is the salary? What
The
is
salary starts out, so a step 1 position, the salary starts at $73,417.71.
Thanks, I was just wondering.
It's going to be non-union?
Correct. Okay.
Question I have, summer help, that seems to have come down 20%. Is that going to be enough? $20,000?
We dropped it from where we were. We actually were under that a little bit. It's kind of varied. We've been able to utilize it, but that drop, we shifted that to stormwater management, as you see. $20,000 we can utilize. That's sufficient. Yeah. Yep.
And your overtime, I'm assuming the overtime salaries, this doesn't count snowstorms and stuff, am I right?
That is correct. That is correct.
Because that's nowhere near enough money if that's going to
Right.
count
Yep.
snowstorms.
No, that's just overtime for guys get call-ins for any off-hours emergencies. Typically, they come from the police department, be it a deer strike or something removed from the road, debris, things of that nature.
How much of this underlying building repair, maintenance, equipment repair, maintenance, grounds repair, maintenance, how much of this is at the schools?
None of this is. None of this is. I carry separate line items for the schools.
Okay.
And that will always stay when the merger of these departments happened a few years back. We maintain the school line items because, like when we built the elementary school, there's numbers I charge off all building maintenance repairs to. They want to know what you're spending in the school buildings. They want to make sure you're spending a certain percentage on maintenance. Otherwise, they're not going to fund you for a new building or repairs to a building if they see you're not investing in it. So that's why it's separate schools. And there's a couple mergers, but none of these are in there for contracts that we merged. But no, so that does not include any school buildings.
Do you know where the school buildings are captured? What department under?
Under the school department. So it's under their total number. So none of those school numbers are here. So when you get your number, I'm gonna guess it's what, 20-something million from the school's total budget? My budget numbers are in that figure,
Okay.
yes. So I work two budgets. I work the town budget, and then I work with the school business manager on the school budget.
I believe, didn't we, the IT is on the town side and all the operating is under the school?
I don't know,
thought
have
it
we
was the
fixed that yet?
Yeah, they actually switched, so I'm a
Fixed.
town employee now,
Okay.
and I believe IT is under the schools.
IT's under the school, whereas
Yeah.
field maintenance and that sort of stuff is under the town.
Yeah, but that's not how it worked out before. IT, there was an issue, there was nothing in the line item for it, there was a contest between, we're not paying for this, so now the town, am I correct, the town, I guess I'm gonna bypass you for a second and ask the finance director. Was the town portion of the IT now, this is for the licenses, is that correct? And the school is picking up the IT costs?
They're picking up, they have the licenses cost, they don't have our toners and paper product and things like that. That's what was omitted from the
Okay.
budget.
And that's been squared away, we fixed that.
It is for 2023.
Okay. Sorry, Dave.
That's okay. I take that back. So the
There's-
only,
the division is we want to make sure that it's still equitable. That's
yep.
that's why we're asking.
the school field maintenance is in my figure here on the town side, because what I did is when we merged, I actually have two positions that are under the DPW that are groundskeepers. So they now maintain the school properties and all the town recreation properties as well. So that figure is in here, but all the building stuff stays with the schools.
Okay. And DPW plows, does the lawn care at Council on Aging and all that stuff.
Correct. Yep.
The only other question I have is, I suppose it's picayune, but internet. Looks like it was 505 and you're requesting 2,000. It was 2,000 appropriated before. Why, what is that for the DPW barn?
Let me find that.
It's on the back page of the original page. It's right below postage, internet, office supplies, DPW
Yeah,
stock.
the 505 is the
inventory.
actual thus far this year.
Yeah. So is that $2,000 that's requested, is that for the DPW barn or for the building out back or?
I'm still trying to find it here. Mine's lined up a little bit different. I apologize. So you're saying we requested 2,000.
Yep, it was 2,000 before.
It was 2,000 before. I'm just curious as to why they have an internet line item.
Okay, I see it. That I honestly cannot answer you off the top of my head. I'd have to speak with Carrie Boss about that, my administrative assistant.
Okay,
I can get back to you on that.
if you would.
I will.
It's not a big deal, it's just, I'm curious as to why O&M has their own internet.
Yeah, do you have like GPS tracking or anything like that in any of
No.
the vehicles?
No, we do not.
And it wouldn't be under the telephone, it wouldn't be under your cell phone.
I wonder if it's for possibly we operate the gas pumps, the gas buoy. That requires an IT line. Could be that.
At the
That's the
town, at
only-
the barn also for the diesel or just out?
No,
at the gas?
no, the only gas pumps are here. It's in, actually, so the computer for it is in downstairs in the old DPW office. May have something to do with that, I'll find out.
And it could also be the internet connection at the town barn.
Yeah.
'Cause
Could be,
obviously-
I'm not sure if the dark fiber, I don't believe the dark fiber made it back there.
That should all be into the IT budget anyway.
It absolutely should, that's why
All
I'm
right, I'll
confused
find
as to
out.
why you'd have your own internet line item. I get the postage, I get the office supplies, I even get the food, but the internet.
I will find out about that and I will email you.
So I guess I'll ask another question, if we're gonna get into these details, who's footing the bill for your cell phone? What account does that come out of?
That comes out of all the DPW guys and the maintenance guys. That comes out of their contractual obligations, is what that's
Okay.
paid out of.
So that $7,500 encompasses all of that.
Correct.
So it looks like total O&M is 1,503,381. And snow and ice is snow and ice. I mean, it is what it is.
Dave, why the increase for the rubbish waste disposal? It's twice as much.
Because that was another one I can touch on. So right now, contractually, we are set to spend this year $96.60 is what we're on track to spend. That goes out to bid. I'll put it out to bid again this year. I've already been told, they actually hit me in December and said, due to their costs, rubbish removal's going up.
Okay.
And we called them back and said, that letter doesn't pertain to us because we have a signed contract with you.
Right.
So we're holding that to them this year, but they said, okay, yes, you do have a contract with us, but be prepared. Cost is going up.
Now, I'm sorry, Ed.
No, it's fine.
Is that rubbish for just town hall and maintenance, or is that
No,
rubbish for
that's-
all of this?
That's all municipal. Every town building that has a trash can, I take care
Including
of.
the school?
COA, school, yes.
Okay, so we're
Town
paying
hall,
for the
fire
trash at the school.
stations. Pardon
We're
me?
paying for the trash removal at the school.
Yes, because that was one where I
Nice
combined contracts, so there was a cost saving in that. So back when this was formed, when Michael was here, he said anywhere you can save, by combining contracts, we'll put them into one.
And then the well contracted services?
Well contracted services, so that does not include North Carver Water District. They pay for their own. So what well contracted services includes, it does not pay for the schools. Schools pay for their own. We do have the same well contractor, however, schools pay that. And I take that back, when I'm mistaken, schools pay for their own trash. I write the contract, but it comes out of their budget.
Okay, I
Does
feel
not
much
come out-
better.
Does not come out of this budget. I apologize.
Okay.
I negotiate the deal, but the schools pay for their side of the rubbish removal.
Okay. 'Cause that was my first phone call tomorrow morning.
Yep, no, schools pay for their portion of it. So that's the rest of the municipal buildings. Now, the well services, same thing, I negotiate the contract, schools pay for their portion of the well services. So what this is for, North Carver Water District pays for their own. This is a municipal well that does everything in the center of town here, all these buildings, as well as Meadowbrook Way. Also Cranberry Village, and also the COA, we have to do testing on those. Now, Cranberry Village, we are working into, the process started a while ago. We're looking into giving up ownership of that back to the owners of the Cranberry Village trustees.
Do you know offhand how often those contracts are renegotiated? Are they annual?
Not annual, I usually do a 3-year contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That explains the jump. That's why, if there's,
Yeah.
if you have a contract
And
price for a long time.
DEP has significantly increased what they're mandating for testing, and that's out of our control.
Sure.
They come out with a 3-year schedule, and now with this manganese treatment and everything else we have to do and test for. PFAS just came out, that's the hot topic right now, we have to test for that. And those tests are costly.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I got.
Anybody else? And I'll take a motion. Well, I want to point out, if we make a motion, the numbers seem to be the same here, so it can be the total O&M or the total public works. But I think total O&M is the motion that I'm looking for, the 1503381.
Make a motion to approve the total O&M budget of $1,503,381.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the total O&M budget of $1,503,381 for fiscal year '23. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Carried. Excuse me.
Thank you very much. Look forward to serving another year.
I'm glad you're getting some help.
Thank you.
I really thought you needed that a couple of years ago and it just wasn't in the cards.
Right, yeah. No, it'll be
And I've seen you when you're a chicken with your head cut off running around the place trying to be in 3 places at once.
Yeah.
And, unless you follow this guy around for the day, you don't realize how he really does try to be in 3 different places at the same time. So I'm glad that this is happening for you.
All right, thank you, appreciate it, and we will utilize it to the best of our abilities, and it'll be a win-win.
You haven't let us down yet. Thanks,
All right,
Dave.
thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
All right, that's done. Kara, if you'd like to come up, our next discussion is with the town clerk. Another department that's running extraordinarily well with a skeleton staff.
Thank you.
Kara has some exciting news for us this year, so
Sure.
looking forward to hearing about it.
Do you know why the actuals are so low?
I think it's only year-to-date.
Still, it's 6 months. You would think it'd be roughly 50%.
Yeah. Sue?
Could be
Sorry, I
the-
didn't hear him.
It might come.
Adam asked,
next
do you know
year.
why the actuals are so low? What was the cutoff?
I'm not sure what I did that cutoff, it was probably back in November.
Oh,
Oh, so this is, no disrespect, but this is that far behind? We don't,
The actuals are, the budget requested numbers are not, I mean, I'd have to be updating them weekly.
so it'd be fair to add, this is February, so we could add 2
Yeah,
months.
month end
to
might not be
these.
done yet for January, but
Yeah.
at least November, December
And
would
there's
be.
other things that don't come up until after the first of the year.
yeah.
Yeah, if it was closer to 40%, it would totally, some of these numbers are significantly lower. So I just wanted to understand better why. That explains why. They're roughly a quarter, for instance, some of them.
Yeah, they are way down,
Yep.
way
So it's
down.
hard to sort of project what's gonna be needed. But,
Yeah, so the actual really has nothing to do with, we have to kind of look at last year's
correct,
expense,
correct.
which would be an accurate number.
Yeah, that's why I keep counting
Yeah.
and dates.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's
No.
okay.
Okay. We're all yours.
Okay, so in the upcoming fiscal year, we're going to have 3 elections hit us. We've got a state primary, which is going to be a big deal, and a state election in November. And then, of course, our local election will fall under that calendar as well. I just got back from a conference where I wish I had better news, but unfortunately, the state's going to probably mandate us to mail out those little cards that everyone got a couple of years ago, along with ballot applications, and the cost of that's going to fall on us. Whether or not they're going to finally fund it, they will at some point, hopefully, but we have to absorb that expense. And not only is it an expense in postage, but it's labor intensive. So Donna and I have done a really good job, I think, putting our heads down and getting the work done and trying to save where we could. And we probably will need to bring on some temporary seasonal help to help with that, just so that we can accomplish it. Because this primary coming up, it falls the day after Labor Day on a Tuesday. So it's going to be tough to get help, too. And we haven't hired anyone for that records tech position yet, but I'd like to kind of leave that open to kind of fill in with some seasonal help. We're not greedy. We try to get as much done as we can, and I think a lot of the clerks have found with this vote by mail stuff, and as tricky as it has gotten for some communities, that you're better off less hands on deck than more hands on deck, so that everything is contained and everyone knows where everything is, and that kind of thing. So
You seem to be still asking for $2,200 for postage. I assume this is
that was done
the
before I
office.
knew this.
Yeah.
Yes.
and
We have a
you
lot
have
of
2
mailings.
postage items. One is the election side. So I guess my question, $2,200 for the clerk side, and then $4,800
4,000 is what's being requested.
I'm
But
sorry,
you
you're right.
have to
4,000. Is
understand
that
it-
going to be enough?
Well, that postage amount too also includes our census mailing. So the census mailing will hit with that. Part of it's broken down with printing, which has gone way up, and then our postage has gone up. So we pay our census in two bills. One side of the line item is for printing, and the other side is for the postage, the actual mailing of it.
And that will be enough money?
It's gonna have to be. I mean, that's gonna have to be. We should be getting back, I'll have to check with Sue and see if the state has funded any of the unfunded stuff that we had for 2020. I mean, they're slow paying that for what we did, but
Kara, just so I know, what's the intent or purpose behind the mailing?
the intent is to have every single resident receive a ballot by mail. Not everybody's going to want that, but we have to offer it. So we have the expense and the burden of mailing that. Before the first one, the state did.
But you don't have to mail the whole ballot, you're just mailing it.
Well, you're mailing out an application. Those that return an application then will have the expense of mailing the ballot. So the ballot, back when we did
But that's only by
it,
request.
that is by request, correct.
But
When
it's strictly an election policy, it's not a pandemic policy, right?
It's going into state legislation. They're going to make that the law.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're changing it on us. They're also going to do same-day voter registration. Yeah, it's, early voting is going to increase to 11-day periods.
Do we
So-
only have 4,400 houses, residents?
No, so that does not include that, because at the time, I did not need that. But the
Okay.
census, they do a bulk mailing, so they get a bulk
So it's a
mailing rate.
cheaper, okay.
So, yeah, it's included in that.
Okay.
And that's something that never changes, so, yeah.
I'm just-
That's a
I was
constant.
thinking 50 cents a
Yeah,
stamp.
it's just the
Something.
printing portion that has gone Hollywood. Paper has gone way up.
It has.
Go figure. you
What
know?
hasn't?
Yeah, no, everything is. Anything that can will, I guess. I held off on buying new election equipment. We still have money that was set aside at town meeting for that. But our election equipment right now is running well. And we found when we had to do our processing that it's fastest. It's faster than the new equipment that's coming out. So we were able to use our old equipment, and as long as it doesn't break, we're in good shape.
And we
didn't-
did good without having to have a fourth precinct.
Yeah, we did. We saved money on that because that would have been 5 new
We're right on the edge.
tabulators. Yep, right on the edge.
We're right on the edge of
Yep.
requiring a fourth precinct, we didn't have
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah, that was really good.
So that was great.
And that saves us for election workers too, which are really hard to come by.
Okay, this is pretty much all normal stuff. The additional equipment,
Okay, so additional equipment, I want to broach this to you. When I went to my conference back in June, I came home with some really interesting pamphlets on this handheld system for town meeting. A lot of communities are using it. We had some stumbling blocks at town meeting, and we had, a selectman complain about a hand count. And then we had people say, I'm never going to count. I'll never get up there again. I'll never do that. It's really hard to get help to stand there. Even with only 87 people in the room, you'd think it would be an easy count. Well, we had some people hold their hand up for yes, and some people hold their hand up for no. Same person. So our counts were off, and this person questioned the count. So I looked into it, and they have these lovely, and I'll disperse this so you guys can see it if you want to pass it around. Got a few of them. The cost to the town is just under $10,000. They last for about 10 years.
we own
Annual.
them.
What's that?
and we own them.
And we own them, and we own 300 of them. So that, I think town meeting numbers will eventually come back up again, I hope.
Well, when we
It
build the
has-
next ball field.
You have the ability to vote yes, no, or to abstain. There's a button to abstain, so our counts are always on. It's run on a regular laptop computer. It does not go over the internet. There's no anyone coming in. The Russians can't come in and change our votes. It appears right behind the moderator on a screen. It figures out the 2/3 vote. You know right away when it passes. There's no question as to whether or not it counts the quorum for you, and it moves town meeting along. That's what I'm finding from my fellow clerks, that It cuts down on a two-night town meeting.
What other towns use these currently?
The town of Westwood has it, and in the pamphlet that I'm passing around, at the time of printing anyways, these are the towns that are using them. And you get into a situation also where if you know you're gonna have a hot topic and you need to get a few more handhelds, you're able to either get them from another town. The company will help you. They'll also come out the first couple of times and work with you. So I guess it's very simple. Someone just sits at a laptop, presses a button, and moves to the next article. There's nothing else done with it other than that. So the article's put into it, it's projected up there, and the votes come into that laptop, and it is projected on a screen. So maintenance costs 18-cent watch batteries, probably a year per handheld, so.
So that was my next question.
Yeah.
This is an additional equipment, so next year, is there a maintenance factor to this?
There's no
Other than
maintenance
just-
factor to it. You own them, they work. Everyone that
We're
I've
not
talked to
buying
has.
software updates, we're not buying
No.
licenses, we're not...
Nope, nope, nope. And if they do improvements, they said that they're included. If they come up with something that else it can do, they will give it to us.
I just
So-
wonder if these will become kind of obsolete in a couple of
They,
years.
well, they've built them to last for 10 years, and I can't see anything else other than, I don't know how else we would vote, you know?
Does anybody do like an app? You know, you put an app in your phone and.
Well, that's when you get into going over the
now
internet
you're
and you're
close,
having the
right.
problems
Yeah.
with someone being able to tamper, and you would never
Okay.
want that, yeah.
Now you're tying into the internet, and now you
Yes.
can play with it.
This is
closed.
controlled and closed right in the building.
Well, it says Seekonk's got it, Rehoboth's got it, Dedham's doing it,
Yep.
Raynham's doing it.
I think they're different. I think
What about the
maybe we got
danger
like
that
half
someone
of
gets one and the battery's dead or something? I mean,
Well, we'll have some watch batteries on hand that we can program them, and they'll be able to tell before town meeting. I think you can, start them up. I haven't had that demonstration. I was able to vote and try with their little demonstration that they had, but that's a question that I could ask. But we'll have 300 of them, so,
I mean, they
Yeah.
look idiot-proof, but
yeah,
it's just,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah.
I did that with the hearing impaired.
Yeah.
Before the town meetings, I set up and made sure all the batteries were charged.
Oh, that's
And all
great.
connected, so.
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
And so did
Yeah.
you say that the, whatever article it was would be up on a screen?
Yep, it comes
And
up
then
on
the
the
tally for
screen,
the vote
and the
would show up
tally
as
for the
well?
vote, you'll see, who abstained, not who voted yes, but the number for it and the number against it. And if there's a
Nice thing is you
two-thirds
can't
vote,
twice.
you can't raise your hand both times.
Well, we've
Yeah.
had that.
Yeah, we
What about
have.
someone that says, I meant to vote no?
Well, once you push it, I think you have a 30 seconds, it'll show you on there, and you're able to change it right then.
Oh,
But,
okay.
I mean, after a certain time, you can't change your vote anyhow. Once you've said aye, you've said aye,
Or the time would
So-
be saved to people, with your people running around trying to do a count?
I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to find people to do a count. That's my consensus from the last one, that they were all pretty upset that.
Well, the last time we did this, I mean, how many of the counts were challenged?
Yeah,
There was separation within town, within the school auditorium,
yeah.
and people were given rows to count, and the counts didn't add up to the number of
No,
people
I
in the
know.
room.
The social distancing
You know,
didn't
it
help.
was
When
a
you
real
had full
problem.
rows that you could count, I think it was a lot easier. But when you had people scattered and, people bending down, people ducked down on their phone, it's really hard,
And I
It
know,
really
sitting
is.
down front, I watched a couple people raise their hand twice.
Twice, yeah,
Once in favor and once against.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know,
Or
I'm
they
not
may not
saying
have
this is the
understood
end
the
all
question.
be all, but, Anybody else?
It sounds like a great idea.
I think it would be nice to have, I do, and from what I get from the other clerks that I talked to, they absolutely said, town meeting time has been, almost cut in half. You get through things a lot faster.
I'll believe that for our town meetings when I see it, but
Yeah, I
if it
know,
helps.
And everybody would test to make sure this is gonna work for that night?
Yes, you could get a
Okay.
demonstration. I mean, I could have them come up and do it too. I think it would be nice to, before we buy.
Oh, that'd be great.
Have them come down and give us a demonstration. I think it would be fun too.
Out of respect, I'd like to ask Mr. Fennessy, what's your opinion, sir?
See, I don't know any towns that are using it right now. I think the only downside I would see is that people who would vote one way, probably in front of other people, may not vote that way, or maybe more apt to vote their conscience, so that may be a good thing.
You're saying it might remove peer pressure.
Yeah, it will take that away, peer pressure.
I do think
That
it
could be
is.
good or bad.
I was gonna say, is that a bad?
Depending
I
on
don't know.
the article.
Could be good or bad.
Yeah,
But the reason I asked you to
Yeah.
comment is because he had mentioned that to me earlier today, and I had never thought of it from that angle. Because, I just would vote.
It's almost like secret ballot.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
And if you're sitting there with 18 of your best friends, and this is something that 16 of them think we should do, and you don't, you could be on a raise your hand thing, coerced into raising your hand. With the keypad, you could sit back and say, well, they won't know, or no. So, but I think you get an honest vote,
Yeah, which is what we're ultimately after.
which is really what we're looking for.
right.
So, I didn't see a downside to it 2 years ago when you brought it up originally. Just that it was part of a system and we had to rent it and
Oh, this is bad.
it was a whole big to-do over it, and
Yeah.
I didn't want to get into another contractual
It
obligation
was so expensive
and
to
put a
rent.
wedding ring on for the next, 10 years, 15 years. This is something we can own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think it's a little pricey for something that we use one night.
Right.
But it may not be one night, it could be
Yeah.
2 nights of town
Special
meeting,
town
and it could be a
meeting,
fall town meeting.
fall town
Or a
meeting.
special town meeting.
Yeah.
If we get out in half the time, it's worth every penny.
And frankly, if we use it for literally every article, so we don't even have a question on what we perceive as an overwhelming yay, and what we think is 9 people that said no. Now, if every article is voted this way, we have actual counts. It helps the town clerk, it helps the minutes of the meeting, because now you can sit back and say, instead of passed unanimously, everything could have a passed unanimously and have a count beside it. So I think it helps.
If someone said it passes, but they're challenging the voice vote, then you got the answer right in front of you.
Right, and it
Yeah.
speeds
So it eliminates
things
having to
up.
go out and do a count.
Eliminates the voice vote, frankly.
Yeah.
I
The
mean, I'd
97
really like to see the demo.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest we consider the budget without this, and then put off till the demonstration to approve the additional monies, but I'm in favor of it. It's hitting me new, so
I'd like to see, I agree with Ron, I'd like to see, I'd like to see it, left as an unfunded line item,
Okay.
because then if we get a demo, for instance, at town meeting, we can use, upcoming FinCom reserve funds to fund this out of the reserve account. But it has to have a line item, we can't create the line.
Right.
So I'd like to see it have a line, but be zero. And then we can do it if we need to with a transfer request, if everybody likes it. Otherwise, we have to wait till the next.
I mean, I like the idea, but this is the first I'm hearing of it, so I want to sort of
Right.
digest it. I mean, just what Mr. Fennessy brought up about the idea of peer pressure. So technically, you want an honest vote from somebody.
Right.
So if someone's voting yes, but they really want to vote no, this allows them to vote
Yeah.
with their conscience. But since it's so new, I'd just like to absorb it a little more, but I'm in favor of it.
Yeah.
That's just my initial reaction.
And don't you think sometimes people stay home because they feel uncomfortable coming to
Sure.
town meeting for that one reason?
Sure.
We may have an increase, which would be great.
Or from the 2 hours of recounts.
Right, right, exactly. They just can't sit through it, right. Yeah.
So the 9775 is based on a quote from the
That's the
company?
quote they gave me for 300 handheld units.
Okay.
And how
And-
long is the quote good for? Sorry.
Well, I did not ask. I believe they're still honoring it, though.
Okay.
I believe nothing's changed.
Just in case.
I just grabbed another
6 months
set.
from now. Okay.
Can you
Yeah.
call tomorrow and find out?
I will, I
Um,
will.
And Sue, can we leave that in as a line item, but not add it into the total? So that until we see a demo, or we can put it in the total pending, how would you like to do that? We can put it in,
Invite the town moderator to attend something like that as well, since.
yeah.
I reached out to him, but I never heard from him, so I tried.
So we could
Yeah.
certainly leave it in the budget, pending the demo, and then it's
And then
there.
any further discussion in case someone thinks of something else pro and
Yeah.
con, but
What's the, whatever the pleasure of the board is.
Is there a reason why it's not considered capital?
It's under 10,000.
Yeah, it's a small
under
number,
10,
and
I
we're gonna
didn't
own it.
think.
I was
We
thinking
can
it, but I
throw
think
it
it's
over there,
10,000.
Well, isn't 10 the minimum usually for capital?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's right in the cost
Yeah,
of me.
yeah,
you have
it's
to get
just like our precincts.
302 of
underneath.
them to get on the capital, right?
Right.
But capital has free cash going back into the budget, so it's, you know,
Yeah, 10,000 is the threshold, so it
Yeah.
has to be over
Yeah.
10.
yeah, it's which view.
I didn't even know this was a thing out there now.
How would you like to do it, Sue? How would you like to handle that? What do you think?
I think you can leave it in the budget and just have the motion at town meeting if we don't get the demonstration before town meeting. So somebody can motion, the moderator or the finance committee chair can motion that we're reducing it by this amount. We didn't receive the information we're looking for.
No, there's no reason we shouldn't see this within the next month, is there?
I don't know, can we see it
Um,
sooner?
It all depends on them. I'd show it to you today if I could.
Well,
if
can
I
you let
could
us
have had
know?
it. Yeah, I will. I'm gonna call
Can we
them
put this
tomorrow.
in its own, not on its own warrant item, but we could make it a letter, C, D, E, so that it's broken out, so that everybody's aware of what they're voting on?
Sure.
Can we do it that way? So we can leave it in the budget, and then town meeting will address it individually, and FinCom, we always meet just before town meeting, so we can then decide if we like what we've seen so far to go forward and support it.
Yeah, I just don't love it in the budget because it's a one-time cost.
Where do you want to put it?
No, like free cash or capital or something. I just don't like it in the budget because now next year we're gonna have a budget that's $10,000 over what, it's a one-time cost.
Not really, it's additional equipment, so next year there'd be $75 in there for watch batteries.
Right, right.
So, I mean, if you want to take out the words additional equipment and call it whatever these things are,
That's
and then it
fine,
will
too.
go forward next year as maintenance, and what if a resident drops it and steps on it and smashes it? I'm sure you have to be able to buy one or two of these things.
To replace
So
it.
there may be an ongoing, small, tiny expense to it, for it to continue. It really isn't a one-time expense, and we never address it ever again.
When's the last time we had a town meeting with more than 300 people?
Gosh, not for a long time. I mean, COVID really, kept the numbers down too.
I mean,
so,
150 normally is high.
Yeah, but I think the
What
last
about-
time we had it packed that
When the
big was when we did the school.
The school.
Even then,
When the school failed, maybe, not when it passed. When
Yeah.
it passed, it wasn't that many.
No, but when they did the grounds, the new track and
track
stuff
even
like
then.
that. As soon as that passed, like 150, I don't think we had 300 then. If
No,
150 get up, we had to do it.
I
hard.
honestly, I don't remember any
Does-
time we've
There's never that
approached
many.
300.
Does that auditorium hold 300 people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
let's
the
do it
feedback
that
you
way.
got
Let's call
from
it.
the folks you talked to was very positive.
Yes, no,
And
what
so
I
it's
was-
been tested. I mean, that's
Right.
the thing. It's that,
I think what I'll do is I'll reach out to the clerks that I know that have it and get some maybe written testimonials for you, and they're honest. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll tell me the pros and cons, what they liked and what they didn't like. I know Nantucket said they just used it and they had their outdoor town meeting, and she said it was phenomenal. And
I think
said,
we
"So
need a
that's
day
great
trip to
hear it
Nantucket.
worked out." Yeah.
We have
Well,
travel
no.
expenses in the
Not now.
finance committee budget?
Yeah.
I think if they do call it out separately at the town meeting, it would be nice if there was just like one little slide up there for everyone to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Maybe a picture of everybody holding a card up today,
Yeah.
Right.
so everyone knows what we're talking about.
Let's change
Right.
that to from additional equipment and name it what it is. And leave it sitting there, but when we do the warrant up, have it be broken out into its own little line within that whole thing, so they can A, B, C, D independently look at it and stuff like
Can
that.
I make a crazy sort of
Sure.
hypothetical? This gets approved at town meeting this year, we don't have it for town meeting this year, right? Whereas, does it need to go to town meeting?
Not really.
So theoretically, a funds transfer request or a reserve funds request could be submitted, equipment could be purchased, and it could be utilized at this year's town meeting.
I was just gonna suggest the same thing.
I just don't think that if it's as significant a need as we seem to think it is, should we wait another 12 months before we get the benefit of using it?
I have no trouble with that either.
So
Do we
if
have-
we have the money
we
in
have
the reserve fund, wouldn't it make sense to submit a reserve fund request and purchase it?
Well, we have the money in the reserve fund now to do it in this current budget. as opposed to
And that's what I'm
waiting
getting
till-
at, and then
right.
we'd have it for town meeting in April.
Right.
Which
But is
the-
everything else covered before we buy? I just don't want it to come across as frivolous at the same time.
Whatever
You
the
know,
will of
being
the board is. Technically, I'm not sure we can get into that discussion and discuss the transfer request because it's not on the agenda, so we could certainly do it at the next meeting. But
Okay.
if you can, I'll tell you, we need to have 2 more meetings, maybe 3 more meetings this month, and the joint meetings with the select board on March 1st. If you can get us some stuff to look at, or a couple of handhelds, or,
And if they keep it to the demo,
yeah.
we could
and-
hold off on voting on this budget, just your budget, just don't take the vote,
Right.
Yeah.
and delay it, and then maybe
Right.
have some sort of presentation and reach
Well, we
out
could
to
support the
conclusion.
balance of the budget and everything else but this.
We can put the whole thing in the budget and leave that out, because it wouldn't go, it would have to come out, it wouldn't be on next year's, it would be on this year's.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's true. That's true.
So you can take it right out completely and submit a transfer request for this year's,
Yeah.
which is probably the best way to do it.
I just think
And
if it's this important, it'd be nice to have it
it'd
this
be
year.
nice to have it this
It would
town
be
meeting, I
nice to
can't
have
disagree
it.
with you.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's really all dependent on how quickly they can respond.
And can they get their hands on it? Are they waiting on chips like everybody
Yeah, I
else?
was gonna say, is it on a container off of Los
Oh,
Angeles and we?
They didn't say that.
Yeah,
I think-
that might be another
yeah.
follow-up question, is how quickly can you get us 300 units?
Can you find all this
I will
out for us?
find, I'll find all
Um,
this out. I'll call tomorrow.
It's a good problem to have, I guess.
Let's leave
Yeah,
that
it's- yeah.
9776 where it is until you find out what the
Okay.
availability is.
Okay,
And if they are currently available and we can have a demo, then we can pull it out of the FY '23 and do a transfer request from FY '22.
okay.
That was a great idea, by the way.
I had
Does
the
that
same
work for
idea, I
you,
just didn't
Sue?
bring it up fast enough.
Mr. Fennessy, you okay with that?
Sounds good.
All right, then I'll take a motion,
Do we have to do them both separate?
however you think. I don't see why we can't approve I don't see why we can't take and approve it as put forth with the caveat in there for the 9775.
Just say excluding additional equipment.
Yeah, excluding the additional equipment.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the town clerk's budget first for $151,635, and to approve the town elections and registrar's budget for $35,520. So the caveat to that is that we are gonna hold off on the additional equipment for $9,775.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, I'm not gonna repeat it. Ashley, did you get it?
I did, thank you.
More important that Ashley gets it. Any further discussion? Kari, you understand what we just did?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kath.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
You want to hold till the end for Finance Department? We can just run through Planning and Board of Health in one whack, or? I don't see anybody here from Planning or Board of Health, so I think Bob's taking that. Are you doing Planning and Board of Health?
I don't see the Board of Health on here.
I put it on here at your request.
Boy.
So it's not on here.
It's on my agenda. Is it on there?
It's here.
It's on the
agenda.
Oh, maybe it was
Board
on
of
the
Health.
agenda.
It's on the budget.
In any case, I did have a conversation. The Board of Health's only, I talked with Kevin today, and he asked that we be cognizant of the fact bear with me for a second, I gotta find it again. Total landfill engineering, it's right above the Public Works line, it's right in the snow and ice neck of the woods.
Come on, in the Board of Health, you have,
It's
Yeah,
above total public works.
It's
Oh,
over in
oh,
the
yes, I
Public
see.
Works neck of the
Okay,
woods.
sorry.
It's above Public Works. It's $60,000. That has been 120 in the past. He says they're gonna be probably $5,000 short this year with the 60,000 and to leave it the way it is. This is for ongoing required inspectional services from the old dump, and stuff that we have to do, exclusive of what the North Carver Water District is doing. So he was only concerned that we didn't look at that and say, what's going on with that? It's 30,000 last year, why is it 60,000 this year? It was actually not 30,000, it was 120,000, and this year it's half that number, because there's much less to do now with these houses coming online. And as far as the planning department, I don't know what's going on down there. We have a new interim planner, and
I did their budget for them, and I just based the salaries on the 1% increase that everybody else is getting, and level funded everything else. Because there's nobody here to do it.
there is a question, and I'm gonna bring it up tonight, within the planning department. I don't know, where is that software, that permitting software? Is that in the planning budget?
It is,
It's opened up.
Yeah, that's that $50,000 debacle. Planning board. Zoning. Computer operating.
You said it's for 50,000?
I don't think so. I think it was less than that, but that's that one that got approved last year for that permitting software.
Is it the other purchase services?
It might be. I don't know how they've got this under.
$27,075?
That sounds about right.
Okay.
So the reason I'm bringing it up is I have an email here that was sent to me today from our new permanent building inspector that I will share, if I can find it. I thought I put it right in here. In any case, his general consensus is this is a mistake. We should not have anything to do with this software. No other town uses it. It does not tie in the different departments. It doesn't talk to assessing, and we don't do enough building permits to substantiate the expense. Now, we've already spent 20 grand on it. We should just take the hit and call it a day.
Can we get out of
Because there's a tremendous amount of expense going forward in additional costs.
And can we get out of the contract without?
I have no idea.
Yeah, so, if I may,
Yes, please.
so it's 27,000 is the budget for next year. This came up, obviously, long before I was here. And there's issues with even the implementation of it within the departments itself. They're not seeing that it would really save them time or be worth the expense. Now, I have a meeting with Paul tomorrow to discuss this, Paul Boucher, to make sure that he's on board of removing this out of our system. So, I don't think we should vote on this till
No, I just wanted to bring it up for discussion.
Yeah, you talked to him, right?
I talked to him today, and I'm trying to find the
What
email.
line item are we referring to?
So it's in
Other purchase
planning board
services.
operating, it's other purchase services.
Remember when they came before us last year and they talked about the permitting software and how wonderful it was gonna be?
Oh, I remember it because I wasn't a big fan of it.
Well, you were right.
Well, it just, there
You
was
were
too
right.
much, opinion wrapped
Yeah.
into what the best option was, and it was an extremely expensive option, and software's subjective to who's using it, right?
Right,
Some
right.
people love Apple, some people love something else, right? So whoever's using it is gonna prefer a specific type of software. When you have to make a substantial investment like that into a software platform, when at the time we didn't even have a building commissioner. We didn't have one.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And we made a decision on what software we're gonna go with. It didn't make sense to me at the time, and it was an extremely expensive endeavor. And now we're at 6 months down the road and saying we made a mistake and we don't wanna spend the money anymore.
Well, this is what Paul sent to me today. He says, Alan, I don't think we issue enough permits on a daily basis to use an e-permitting system. I was told by a state inspector that we cannot refuse a paper application. The town could lose revenue from permits not getting pulled due to the applicant not having computer knowledge. I'm told that the people who wanted this program are no longer working for the town. I think the town should scrap this project and use the money where it is needed. Good luck, Paul Boucher, Carver Building Commissioner. Now, Paul is our full-time, permanent building commissioner. He's not part-time. This was something that I think originally was thought of as tying into the different departments, and now we're finding out that it doesn't without buying more modules and more stuff and more licenses. And so this came to me, this just came as part of a conversation. I'm not saying we vote it down. I'm saying that I'd like to see more looked into to see if we're going to continue to fund this thing, because it's just, this is a hole that will never fill up. Every year there'll be something new license, new add-ons, new updates, and here we go.
I think we need to know what the consequences are of getting out of this contract too.
Yeah.
Are we obligated for a certain time period?
I have
Do we
no
have to pay
idea.
to get out?
I don't think we are, but I'll check that.
Okay.
So if you would be so kind.
Yeah, and the only thing worse than paying the money and paying for the software for a year is paying for it for a second, third, fourth, and fifth year and not using it.
That's just it. And the girls have been to a couple of classes downstairs on using it, as well as Kevin Forge has. It does not talk to conservation. It really doesn't even interface with the fire department. That has to become manually input. So the whole thing is like, what are we doing?
It was supposed to be a game changer. I don't.
Yeah, it's not much of a game changer.
Yeah, I think it works well in bigger cities and communities.
Yeah. And nobody in the
than it
area
does in
uses it.
smaller communities.
Nobody uses this
Yeah.
in the whole area. This was the least popular in all the surrounding cities and towns. So naturally, it's the one they went for. So it's the other purchase services, right? It's in the treasury report. Planning board, there it is.
It doesn't look like we're paying that much for it right now. Maybe,
No, but I
few
think there's a
hundred a
current bill, isn't there?
There is.
Yeah, that's what kind of.
Invoice
woke it all
came
up.
today, actually.
There's a bill.
do we know how much the bill's for?
I got it on my desk.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
just
went, did
wondering.
you talk to Paul today?
No, he wasn't there
Oh,
when
you
I
didn't
went
catch
down.
him? So I'll leave that on your desk,
Okay.
okay? That's one of those, I'd like to take this out of the approval tonight and leave it, put a star next to it, if we could do that.
I think that's a good move.
So do we need to make a motion to take no action or just leave it?
I'd like to remove it. Other purchase services, 27075.
They use that for a couple of other small.
Yeah, that's not only for that one.
Do
Oh,
I think it was.
you want to just use the label,
The 3725 that they've been having in the past.
leave that in?
Yeah.
right, so replace
27075
with 37.
with 3725.
So we're gonna remove 26,747.
Then we can always put, because the selectmen can put it back in, don't forget, we're just advising. So you got another month before we need a decision on it, and the selectmen can vote to put it back in the budget.
So are we voting tonight for the total planning, or are we?
We're voting for total
We are,
planning.
okay.
196,891 less now, the 26, whatever, 23 and some change.
26,747. Okay, so I'll make a motion tonight to approve the planning board's budget for $170,144. That includes the removal of other purchase service for the permitting software of $26,747. We will leave in that line item $3,725.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ashley, we're good? Any further discussion?
I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna vote no, only because I wanna know more before I vote on it.
What do you mean?
I'd like to talk to the people that are making the decision or using the software or have more definitive numbers on what it costs, everything else, before I vote to take it out of the budget. If we vote to take it out of the budget, yeah, we can revisit it, but if there's there could be penalties to not paying the invoice, there could be all sorts of financial ramifications to backing out of it. And I'd just like to I'd like to have more concrete information before I vote yes to remove it, that's all. I just think it's premature. We don't have the people here that use it, that want to remove it, to speak on behalf of doing that, right? It's something you brought up because you happen to know about it, which I'm sure you're well informed.
No, actually,
But
I'm not.
I think the people who use the software and/or are requesting to have it removed from a budget where they've already requested to have it in the budget should be here to tell us, I'd like to take it out of the budget because I don't want to pay the invoice anymore, before we just remove it.
Should we table planning board until next week?
I mean, it's,
Try to get more
Why
information.
don't we table that item?
Table that item?
I just would
Then we
vote
don't
no
have to
because
go
I.
through the whole
Yeah,
plan.
I just.
don't disagree. I don't
I'm
have a
not
problem
not
with
trying to
that.
be disruptive. I
No,
just.
no. Yes, you are.
Oh. I just,
Well, I would hope we could get out of this contract with 6 months.
I hope so, right? And I hope that, I'd like to know there's a justification
I
or
don't have
reason
a
why.
problem with that. Could you look, because obviously, I bet
I'll
Bob
find
hasn't
out
even seen the
tomorrow.
contract yet.
Yeah.
We can literally take the vote in 5 seconds next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You all right with that? Can you
Yeah.
look into the contract and see what the deal is?
yeah, I will, yeah.
And just confirm that he definitely doesn't want to use it anymore.
Put on your
Yeah.
lawyer hat
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, and that's what I was hoping to do today, but
it's
it didn't
okay.
happen, so.
If we don't vote it tonight and then we find out tomorrow he
No, you're
changes
right.
his mind.
No, he
like-
does, he absolutely doesn't want to use it anymore, and the girls hate it also, so.
Well, not
there
anymore.
is
They haven't used it
ramifications.
yet at all, basically.
I'm sorry?
They haven't used it all yet. It's been a situation where they were getting trained on it, and it kind of stopped, so.
I don't know, it's my 2 cents.
All right, so what's the pleasure of the board? You want to just not vote on the planning budget at all? Or do you want to vote on the planning budget exclusive of this and table this? Or do you want to table the planning
Why don't we
budget?
just
Let's just
table the
table
planning
it.
budget? We
Yeah.
can take
Motion.
2 seconds next week.
Can you remove that original, you need to withdraw your motion?
I
Beth?
withdraw my motion.
Sorry, Beth.
And you withdraw your second, and now I need a motion to table.
Make a motion to table the planning budget until next week, or
Second.
the next meeting.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to table the planning budget, the planning board budget, to the next meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
We didn't complete Board of Health, did we?
No.
No, we didn't do a vote on the, my comment on the Board of Health was just that they wanted to keep that line item in there,
Which one?
that 60,000 for the,
Right, there's a jump in the department head
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
salary.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
yes, sir.
So the difference in that is that part of that budget was being funded out of the selectman's office. So it's being reverted back to the Board of Health. So it's not a change in he's not getting a big, $30,000 raise or whatever it is, 20,000.
So now, why was it being funded out of the selectmen's budget line item?
Beats me.
It's about 17,000.
Yeah, 17,000.
What was it in the
So at some
additional
point,
hours?
the town may have voted to do that. I don't know. It predates me by
But this
many
is
years.
this is the health agent salary?
Yes, health agent.
And it's not a change.
It's not a change. He's getting his 1%.
So if we went to the selectmen's, we should see a decrease?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Do you know where that is?
No, because that's in the, my guess is this was in the additional hours,
Yes, it's in the additional hours,
which they've increased this year.
which I can't speak for that, but I do know that when he came in at, I think it was 28 hours, and then they gave him 35, and the only place that paid for it was out of this additional line item in the selectmen's budget.
Oh, so this year they put the full 30, or whatever it is in
Into his-
that budget.
All right, so it's not a substantive change to the department, it's just the source of the funding.
Okay. Are you okay with that, Ron?
Yeah, I just wanted to know what the explanation was for the increase, or perceived increase.
Well, we'll dig through the selectmen's budget at the next meeting.
Where are you seeing the selectmen budget?
We're not in the
I don't
selectmen's
see
budget
it.
tonight, on the first page.
Page front.
First page.
Yeah, under town moderator, keep going. See where it says town hall additional
Additional
hours?
hours?
Yeah, forgive us, because this is a little bit different than we're used to seeing in the layout, so we're having to dig through to find stuff. So we can take up the Board of Health if you want, or we can hold off on that until we get the answers out of the selectman's office. Elaine, I'm sure would have more information on that.
I mean, to me, it seems pretty straightforward.
I think so
We're
too,
being
but I
told
don't
it's
see the
not really a
reduction in the
change
additional
the-
hours, that's the
Not a
trouble.
change in the salary.
Yeah, we're not seeing an offset.
But I don't see the offset,
Well, the sum,
so now,
It wasn't communicated with Elaine when she put the additional hours in the selectmen's line item. When I did the budget for Board of Health, I was told that this is how many hours he works and then he gets paid for out of here. So I put his true salary where it belongs, but Elaine did not reduce the additional hours.
okay, so
So
we
we
need
should
an
see an
updated
offset.
sheet,
Yeah.
okay.
So-
We can, I'll talk to Elaine tomorrow.
okay, so we're looking for the offset when it's time for the selectman's budget to show up. Okay, I'm fine with that. So do I have a motion on the
Can I just,
Board, I'm sorry.
can I just ask a question? On the Board of Health, the laboratory fees, are these COVID testing?
They could be.
Or something
It
else?
could be, they have to do testing if, you find a dead bird or a dead animal, you have to send it out to get lab tested to make sure it doesn't have certain diseases.
Okay. And the VNA, the 11,000 is enough? I know they typically have a contract, but if you go over the hours or there's a TB case in the town or COVID, it's not
Actually,
usually.
was some of that money reimbursed from CARES Act, the VNA stuff?
Probably was.
I'd imagine we got some of that money back,
I would think so, yeah.
I don't,
because the
I don't know if
VNA
you-
is usually what comes down with the,
it is, they do the contract
yeah,
tracing
well,
and
you
all
would
that.
know, you know
Yeah,
better than we do.
but you would have to pay your contract first and it would be the COVID above the contract. I think the CARES Act wouldn't reimburse before that.
For the
Theoretically.
basis.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the Board of Health contract for 128,737.
Second,
Motion made and second to approve the Board of Health contract for, or budget rather, for 128,737. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carried. I'll find out from Art what some of this stuff is, I'll just ask him.
yeah, just wanted to make sure there was enough money in there.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that the laboratory fees are exactly that, if they get a, rabid dog or, and the VNA stuff is, the VNA was doing all of the numbers and stuff during this whole COVID thing. It was all
Yeah.
coming out from VNA, so. All right, your turn. Finance Department.
Finance.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sue Moplin. I'm Unity Finance Director. So I'm going to go over the accounting department, the assessors, and the treasurer collectors, because it all stands as one now. So So for the finance director's salaries, there is an increase in the finance director. It's contractual. I don't take the town's health insurance, so that was added into the salary, and there's 2 weeks of vacation buyback in that number. If for some reason I don't take the vacation, I can purchase it. And then under regular salaries, that was increased as well. The clerk in there was working 23 hours, and we brought her up to 28, because under accounting, there's really myself and 2 part-time people. So we're trying to get the one person that has the accounting degree extra training so that she can take on some extra duties that Meg was doing a lot of. And then pretty much everything, the seminars and training is also increased a little bit, again, to send her out to get the classes that she needs for municipal finance, not just, the accounting degree that she does have.
So what are the other professional services?
That is our cost for the auditors and our cost for our software, our accounting software.
Well, for the software and all that?
Yeah.
So that only went up a little tiny bit, really. 82,000 from 79.5.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
79.5 is 21.
Yeah,
It was 82 and 20.
Yeah, it was 82.
22.
yeah.
That's right.
Then under the assessing, it's the same salary with a short increase based on what the new assessor was brought in at. And the clerical salaries has also increased because, again, in assessing department, there's 2 part-time people, and we brought the 1 part-time person back to full-time with having a new assessor who was an assistant assessor in another town. He also needs to go out and get extra training. He has a lot of his certifications, but he's missing a few of what he needs. So you'll see that the seminars and training for the assessing department have also been increased.
So how many FTEs are in that department now? And then how many are we going from a 0.5 to a 1.0?
So you have a full-time and 2 part-times, so we're going from that to 2 full-times and 1 part-time.
Okay, and the part-time's a half?
Yes.
Okay.
And then under treasurer collector, the treasurer collector is got an increase in there of, that's just her salary. And then the clerical salaries is contractual also. Again, there's another person that has an accounting degree in the treasurer collector's office. She's currently the assistant treasurer, and she is also going to be going to school to pick up some cash reconciliation duties and receivables reconciliation duties that were thought to be done properly by them, but there was gaps in it. So when we provided stuff to the auditors, I found things that were not easy for me to reconcile because it's not done every month. So she's gonna.
The cash isn't reconciled every month?
They reconcile what we expense out
Okay.
and the money that comes in, but that bank accounts
To the,
to the accounting software
Yeah.
side, I'm assuming Meg did it somewhere along the line. But to try, when you go into the shared drive,
yeah,
there's 50 folders, and inside those folders, there's 50 more folders. So, I've only been here 4 months, so
Yeah.
I'm recreating things the way that I would like to see them, and then train so that one folder says cash reconciliations, one folder says receivables reconciliations, and we know where to go and get it. And that there's more than just myself that can do it. If I go on vacation or something happens to me, there was nobody here for 2 months, that stuff wasn't done. Now you can have 2 people that will be able to do this stuff if I'm not there, or I need to say, I have this project right now I'm working on the budget. This is a big project. I don't have to worry about doing this reconciliation for 2 months. I can give it to you and I can give this one to you, you know, so it definitely will help. So that's where the salary increases came in. So with that clerical, there's 2 full-time people and one of them got bumped up and it was a union position. So she went from like step 5, is a step in lane, and then so she went up, I think, 2 steps from what she was before.
And that's already happened?
It
in
happened this year.
FY22?
Same thing
Okay.
with the assessors, the part-time assessor. She was brought up this year as well.
Okay.
Postage increased just because the cost of postage is going to be increasing. For advertising, the cost of tax title taking and unclaimed funds, we have to advertise for. So we haven't done the unclaimed property, which is stale checks, because we don't have the money for the advertising. The tax title was getting paid out of legal services, so it's not, some of this stuff should be put into the treasurer collector's budget, not under legal. Other professional services also was charged to legal, and it's for to register deeds at the court.
Okay.
And then, okay, so the $1,000 certification is for the treasurer collector. It's mandated by the state that once they get their certification, they get $1,000 a year.
Okay.
She says here that it was previously included in the treasurer collector's line item, but she separated it out for certification. And she
Okay.
meaning the treasurer collector, I apologize. She
Right.
couldn't make it tonight.
What the hell is the financial disclosure?
When we do borrowings, there is a 70-page report that we have to provide to our, to get our rating, you know, the Standard & Poor's rating. They charge us that money for that kind of,
You
so,
kidding?
you know. So that's always in there. We don't always do a borrowing, so we're not always having to use it, but it's there. This year, we
So that's
discussed.
an annual cost.
Yep,
Well, it could be.
it could be, yeah. If we go out to borrow, or if there's any changes in the economy, major changes, they want to see this,
Yeah.
how it's affecting the town of Carver.
Going back to the treasurer collector's clerical salaries, the bump from 132 to 146 was expanded hours plus promotion to a new position?
That one was just a promotion to take on extra duties.
Okay, the extra 14 was strictly tied to the promotion.
Yes.
Can I just ask, I might not be clear on this, what do we do when we increase hours? How is all that approved? How is it, how do we do that when we go from
That's-
a 0.5 to 1.0?
That's part of what's, I don't want to say buried, but that's part of what's buried in that salary line
Yeah.
item for the selectmen's or the town administrator, is like, if we have to do something like this and we make some changes, that's where those additional hours are.
Like that comes out of additional hours out of the selectmen's budget.
Okay.
And the reason it was originally put in
But-
there was so that we wouldn't lose a key employee because we couldn't match another offer they got. And yet it's locked into the budget, we can't do anything with their line item, so it was put in the additional hours, so there was some flexibility.
It just seems
That's
like
how
we've
it was
heard a few.
explained to me.
Right,
That's
and
why.
these, you know, these positions that went from part-time to
Yeah.
full-time, I don't know how the department worked without having a full-time person to answer assessing phone calls and at the door. And not this year, but the year before, same thing in treasurer collector's office. The girl Christine, who stands at the window taking everybody's payments, they had brought her down to part-time as well. She just became full-time again, not this year, but the budget year prior to this one.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying it's not needed, I'm just wondering it just seems like we've heard a few new positions have come through, I'm just wondering,
Yeah,
how do we approve them?
Most towns don't have it available to them, but, you know, you guys actually budget it under the town administrator, and the town administrator has control over whether or not I'm giving
Okay.
somebody a salary increase. It has to go through that office.
Okay, yeah, that's all I'm wondering. Thank you, that's all.
Other purchase services. Recording of deeds, is that what you said?
Under the.
Total
treasurer
computer
collector?
operating?
Under the treasurer collector?
Further down, under, it's part of the
Other
total.
purchase services?
Yeah,
For 67,000?
the 67,000. It's under total legal.
Oh, it's under
Total-
legal.
Total.
It's below
computer
legal, but it's
operating.
part of total computer operating.
So you're looking now at not treasurer collector, you're
Yeah, you found
further.
It's below total finance, and then total legal, and then total computer operating. If I remember,
Right.
if I remember, you said it was filing of registry of
No,
deeds?
That was-
that is different than what is on the treasurer collector. The treasurer collector for filing registries is under other purchase of services,
Okay,
treasurer collector. What you're looking at over here that has the 67 is what Alan was talking about earlier, where the IT stuff for the town was not budgeted. I want to say it was the last year, and that's where we're coming into a shortfall this year. The school did take on certain IT things, but every town department is responsible for certain, not licenses, like I said, like toner and things like that, things that come up that you need and paper.
I get that that needs to be paid for, but I'm just not sure if this is the right, is this where it should be?
This one here,
Yeah.
yes. So it's not the same as what we were talking about during the capital meeting.
I'd sure
Okay.
like to see it be more defined.
Well,
I see, and this is no reflection.
No.
But we look at this and we see other purchase services all over the place here. We see other purchase services under assessing for $64,000. We see other purchase services under treasurer collector
the 29.
for $29,000. We have other purchase services right below the legal line for $67,000.
Underneath finance for
We
$82,000.
have town clerk salaries, other other purchase services, yes, exactly.
And it's-
So,
it's the
it'd be
view-
nice if it was other purchase services and then a line saying what it was.
This is set up like under the
The
UMIS
budget, yeah.
manual, so each department has its own other purchase services. So for like finance, like I said, it's our software and it's our audit. So we could separate that out and say what two items covers that. In the assessing department, it's for their revals and their property tax evaluations and things like that. So, I mean, we could put in there specifically what they're for each department, but some departments with their other purchase services could be multiple items.
But it's almost 20% of the entire finance budget.
yeah, I get it. I get it.
$180,000 of
Yeah.
the 815.
Of the
But
other
that's
purchase
because
services.
they use no service from outside, that's all. It's just like the
Right,
category.
they're contractual, and they're things that you need. You have to have your audit, you have to have your software.
I don't disagree. I think that from a transparency standpoint, my point is, and I think Adam's gonna agree with this, it can become the trash bag where we put the things that we don't have someplace else to pull the money out of. Well, let's just call it this, and no disrespect, but no one's gonna notice because it's in other purchase services.
Right, and I mean,
Well, maybe-
and I didn't want to make too many changes to the way you guys normally
Sure.
would see things, but in a finance department, I wouldn't separate out accounting, assessor, and treasurer collectors. It's a finance department. Everything should be there, and I should have one other purchase services, even if it's $110,000, and I should be able to explain it in the software itself. We
I
can
think it's a
actually
great
put memos
idea.
in there, and the memos
Yeah.
can say, this much for this contract and that much for that contract. It hasn't been used. I want to go in that direction, but I didn't have time for this year's budget.
See, a lot of this is broken out because, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, it was only the last couple of years that the finance department oversaw assessing and the treasurer collector's office, that the three departments were kind of like brought into one.
Well, when Michael reorganized and created the finance.
That's what I mean. So these were originally individual
Right.
departments, and I think that's why they're still listed this way.
Right.
So you can feel free to put this under one finance department item and then list the individual line items if you need to. If it makes it easier for you to understand and easier for everybody to see and transparent, I'm all for it.
But it might not be easy for her if, in her software system, right? If you want to do look back, year-to-date
Right,
variance
if you were to
analysis.
look back, I would have to manually do a
Exactly.
spreadsheet for you. It can be done. It just, it's not gonna be done for this,
No,
annual town
that's
meeting.
fine.
But, there's
But I
definitely
agree with
things-
Adam. I mean, it gets to where, we know that there's always, and there has to be some cushion built in, because you can never run a budget come hell or high water, this is the number. There has to be some give somewhere, and when you see things like other purchase services, all I can see is that's the slush fund.
Right, and I mean, I see it as little as the dues and memberships. We got 3 different line items for that under finance. So, one line item, dues and memberships, they are for the assessor, the treasurer, and the finance, accounting, rather than having it all split up with 3 different departments.
So I wasn't bringing it up because of the title. I just thought we had a meeting last year, and we said that anything like this was gonna go over to the school. That's
About-
why I'm bringing it up.
About what?
Any type of, all of this like paper that we buy, all of these computer,
So
all of these, all that type of stuff.
my understanding is there was a debate, a discussion about certain licenses and certain computer technology
Yep.
that is town-specific, that was not necessarily known, I guess, at the time that the departments reallocated the way they reallocated. And after the fact, it came about, like, oh, wait a minute, we have all these licensing fees that we have to pay for this software, i.e. building software, right? Building department software, has nothing to do with the school, so why would the school be paying for those licenses and paying for that software? And this, I think, is what's been created to sort of capture that.
Okay.
But it's, to your point,
I just remember sitting here and hearing that we were gonna trade O&M off for IT, and that's what changed the percentage of what the school was gonna get. So the school was a little bit over 70%, and the town was a little under 30%.
Right, but then that changed to the school being the 69.87 it was, and the town went to, it got it under the 70% number, so it's like buying gas for $4.99.9. It's not $5 yet.
Okay.
And
I
that's,
just wanna make sure this is the
that
right.
was done.
Yeah, I just-
That was part of that trade-off.
It was.
Where we took some services. Nothing really changed. The numbers never changed. Just that we took on a bill from the school, and that's how the numbers worked out.
Okay.
But
Like,
when this
even-
IT thing came
I
to
just
us, we
wasn't
didn't know
sure.
what was going on.
I thought
Right.
this was supposed to go on their side. I guess maybe
But
I'm
even the
mistaken.
accounting software, now that we're discussing it,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's all under the finance department, or does the school have their portion that they're paying? Now,
Yeah.
I can look that up, but
Yeah.
that's, again, something that I would have to look into, being in here for the first time. I've been
Yeah.
working very closely with the school department, though, trying to be transparent and everything. So, I mean, I'm sure I can get those answers from them.
yeah, I just don't love the idea of creating a $77,000 budget item for something that's supposed to be covered under another budget.
I don't disagree.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I
I
feel
don't
like,
disagree.
there was a place for it, and I'm not sure now where it goes. And I'm not saying anything bad about the school, I
Right,
just
no.
think that we might have this.
Well,
in
we're
another
not
spot.
approving that. We just want to approve that tonight, till we get some answers on it. That's not part of this discussion tonight anyway, really.
Do you know why legal went up 20%?
Because the treasurer collector is looking to go out and tax title, basically. She wants to be more aggressive and get some tax title, people who haven't been paying their taxes, and getting them into the legal part of it, so that maybe we can present them here's some options, you can be on a payment plan. If not, we're gonna take the next step on properties that are not being properly paid.
Where's the 20%?
It's under legal.
It's under total legal.
Yeah, that's KP Law.
It's
right?
KP Law, and I forget who she uses for tax title attorney.
But part of the increase is anticipated additional use
Correct,
going more aggressively after tax title.
correct.
And do you have an offset up in revenue for 20,000?
No, because you don't always get the money right away. So you're always gonna get your taxes at some point or another, whether we go to foreclosure or, they pay their taxes, but you don't get that money back until maybe 5 years from now. So there's
Okay.
no guarantee of what year it's gonna come in. So it'd be like miscellaneous revenue in the year that it was received.
Thank you.
I don't love that approach.
See?
I don't love that approach. We're only at 18,000 for the current year. So well below pace, theoretically, we'd think with 3-4 months, we'd be a third of the way through that budget. We're not.
Are we talking about legal again?
This is
that might
legal,
only
yeah.
be like
Let-
one-
You know what? For your
Legal's a
next
hell of a
meeting,
lot higher
let me
than that
update that
1798, I'll tell
column,
you.
Okay.
okay? And that
Yeah.
way you guys can have something more current.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
Again,
rather-
It's
I
not
don't,
even close to that number.
yeah, I'm not sure exactly when I put
Okay.
this document together.
Yeah,
I would rather fund something like that out of a reserve fund than I would put it in the budget.
yeah,
Because we have no idea how much of that we're gonna be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't wanna do it because the money's there to do it. I wanna do it because it makes sense to do it. And if we needed to fund it another way later on, it's a 20% increase in the budget. There's nothing else in the budget that's increasing that much. So,
Yeah, but the offset could be dramatic in
If-
terms of the
if-
collection of the outstanding tax dollars.
I agree. If we actually do it, and if it's actually beneficial to do it, then we fund it and we do it. I just think putting it in the budget, it's a very slippery slope. All of a sudden, we're running out to do things legally that we wouldn't otherwise be doing because the budget's there to do it.
So you
I'd
can
like to
put
break
it in
up
as
into
a,
two line items, to be honest with you. I'd like to see legal be legal, I'd like to see the tax title attorney be the tax title attorney, or whatever, how we're gonna name that, so that it's two separate items. Because they'll look at that legal expense, and they'll assume that every dollar of that is going to KP Law.
Well, yeah. I mean,
And then they'll think that KP Law is overcharging us. Again, it's not definitive enough.
Yeah, I don't know what's been going on in terms of tax title. I know that when we had a change of treasurers about 20 years ago, and over a 3-year period, we brought in over $1 million of outstanding tax revenue because it had just been not followed
neglected
up
for
on.
so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I don't know how aggressive we've been in recent years.
Oh, it could be great, but it'd
Yeah.
be so much easier if it was a separate line item that would directly offset to a revenue side. So you can see where the two numbers are, instead of looking at an inflated number here that encompasses a whole bunch of stuff, and then a small number over here, you say it's gonna offset this, but the average person gonna say, well, it doesn't offset it.
Well, again, you may not be able to,
You won't see it.
as the director said, you may not be able to get an offset in the current year, but there'll be an offset.
Yeah.
But to your point of saying, legal services, just having a second line item there for tax title. Legal services in one line and tax title in the
Is
next.
that all right with you?
I've seen it have its own department, and therefore, if you put $25,000 in there and you vote that 25,000 or 20,000, that's the only thing it
I
can be
like
used
that.
for. So I
Right.
can create its own department, rather than just under legal. Because if
Yeah, I
it's
like
under
that.
legal and you vote the bottom line of 120,
Yep.
then that can be shifted. But if you
Yeah.
vote 100
Because
for
if we
legal.
go over it, the whole purpose of the reserve account is to fund an underfunded or an emergency situation in a line item in a budget shortfall. So, if we continue with these somewhat overinflated line items, where this instance here, it could be $30,000, which means we just cut back on the legal expenses by the extra 10 grand. I'd much rather see it be a separate line item, because it promotes a little bit more transparency as to what's going on.
And it's not, and as you said, it's not misleading into thinking that KP Law has gone up 20,000.
Exactly.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Welcome.
We need to vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I need a motion.
So we voted
Any way you want to vote
each
it.
individually?
I would do the entire finance department.
Does it have a roll-up?
Yep.
Total finance department, 813, 931, does that sound right?
Yep.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the total finance department for $813,931.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve the finance department's budget, 813, 931. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, so for legal and computer operating, are we gonna table those two?
Yes. Like the table, or actually, we can approve the legal services with the caveat that 20,000 be made its own department, so we can get that out of the way.
Is
and-
that doable for you, Sue? Is that like a lot of work in the accounting software to create a new
Or
department?
can you just add a line?
I'll just create a department.
It's easy.
It's simple now that I know how to use the software.
Okay. Yeah, because like, see all these little subcategories, they're gonna be the same on every single department, right? So if she added a new line, it's gonna potentially add a line to every single department here.
So I would personally, because it's under the treasurer collector, I would put it in under total finance department. But you see how it?
Yeah, we'd have to roll up.
Where it says assessing, and then it says treasurer
Yeah.
collector salary, treasurer collector operating, add a treasurer collector tax title.
Okay,
And that way it's its own separate, when you're voting it, it shows it, and when we go to town meeting, there's gonna be this summary budget.
perfect.
Should we
Okay.
revote the finance budget then to add that 20,000 in?
Say it again?
That 20,000 is being moved into the finance budget
Yeah.
now.
Correct.
Yeah, but so we're gonna vote on that now as part of the legal services. We'll vote to move the 20,000 into its own line,
Which would automatically
which
change
will
the
reduce
813 to
that to
803.
100,000.
Yeah.
Yep, so should I withdraw my
No.
motion?
Nope.
No, I would make a motion that we approve the legal services budget of $120,000, with 20,000 of it being moved up to its own department under
Assessing,
assessing,
okay.
Treasurer
reducing,
collector.
treasurer collector, rather, reducing the 120,000 in legal services to 100,000.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the legal services department for 100,000. That is by moving $20,000 from the legal to a new department being created under the treasurer for tax and title for 20,000.
Second?
Who seconded that?
Rhonda.
Ron did. Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the legal services budget of $100,000, moving the additional $20,000 to its own department within the town clerk, within the tax collector, treasurer tax collector. Is that right? That's what you said?
Yeah.
Made, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and how about a motion to table the other purchase services? Till we figure out what's going on with that.
Make a motion, we table the total computer operating budget of $77,000 to our next meeting.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to table the total computer operating budget, $77,000, to the next FinCom meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. That's it.
A quick question, is it possible to have the actual updated? Would it be a lot of work to, because you said these are probably through, the actual probably through November?
Right, I'll have that for the next meeting.
Okay, great, thank you.
Can I make a request?
Yeah, me too.
Could you just, on each sheet, have the
Print on each page? Yeah. Thank
I
you.
appreciate it. Have the,
The heading.
the
Oh,
title.
that makes me crazy. That's
Yeah.
why, I actually did it on the computer, so that it was, because I was scrolling down through the bottom, it's like, what the hell line is that? I'll go back up to the top and see what the heading is.
You can,
Thank
you
you
can
so-
set it up to
It's
print
just
on
kind
each.
of-
Lock
I'm
the
reading
heading,
it.
yeah. Thank you. I was requested at the RDA meeting to ask the committee what their thoughts were on the North Carver project, and the chair asked if we had had any discussions about the North Carver project. And I said no, because we haven't seen a single piece of paper, we have no idea what's going on with the North Carver project. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or any comments. I imagine somewhere along the line, we're going to end up getting together with the RDA because they want FinCom's input. I did have lunch the other day with Stephen Cole, and I've had some extensive conversations with Savory Moore. Personally, I think that the RDA is tunnel visioned on the height request at town meeting. I think we need to, I don't think town meeting is going to let them get away with that. I think it's going to be, they're going to get hit with the traffic increase, and they're going to want answers to things they may not have. And it's only my opinion, the RDA is doing a fabulous job. I think they should come at it from a standpoint of, this is what we're going to get, no matter what. This is what will happen in the town of Carver. Now, if we do this, we have this kind of control over it. If this is turned down, we lose that control, and this is what's going to happen. So we have to look at, the devil we know better than the one we don't. Personally, Savory's in agreement. I think Sharon's in agreement. Whatever we do in North Carver, something's going to be built there. So we would obviously want to have as much control over it as we possibly can, as opposed to no control over it. Because there's a certain amount of stuff they can do up there by right that doesn't involve anything other than a special permit.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
As you probably would know, I'm keenly aware that I would never speak on behalf of my wife.
Not if you want to sleep at home tonight.
But I can just tell you that only recently did they receive the economic impact report, which they're digesting now. A lot of the negotiations taking place have necessarily had to be of a high-level nature with the outfits and so forth, making sure that town departments have some input going in. But the intent, certainly, there's certainly an awareness that the traffic, that answers need to be provided at town meeting relative to traffic, people having traffic concerns with trucks on Route 58 and so forth. So I think everything you mentioned, the RDA is keenly aware of and intends to be completely transparent and make sure they're going to be coming out with a website soon where a lot of this will be out there. But I just know that the intent is that if this gets to town meeting, or when this gets to town meeting, their intent is to have addressed all the concerns and not have suddenly someone pop up at town meeting with something unanticipated. And traffic is a big part of that.
Sure it is. It'd be huge. So.
And I would think once the economic impact study is digested, that's something that would be up the finance committee's.
Right. And as soon as I get a copy of it, obviously I'll send it out to everybody so they can have some time to read it at home. And because I guess it's pretty big.
Right, but
Sharon
I mean,
was
that's
supposed to-
something that
Yeah,
we
Sharon's
really
supposed to
would
send me
weigh
a
in
copy.
on, because
Yeah.
that's our bailiwick is the
Sure.
economic impact on the town.
Sure. And this could be huge. It's not just the real estate taxes. This is personal property taxes on a project this size could be $1 million a year. Middleborough, when Amazon came to town, one of Middleborough's requirements was that the vehicles that were based there registered in Middleborough. So now they get the excise tax for the vehicle excise tax, which is another huge number. So there's a tremendous amount of revenue that can come in from this North Carver
But
project.
it's gotta be the right project.
But it's got to be the right project, and it's got to be dealt with the right way. And I've said this to everybody that would listen. This can make or break us. And it's that simple. I mean, this could be the best thing that's happened to this town in a long, long time, revenue-wise, and it can be the worst thing that's happened to this town in a long, long time. And there's a fine line between those two decisions.
Yeah, you get a chance to do it right once.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You only get to build this once. So I did my duty. And we'll have more discussions about this. As I get more information, I'll disseminate. I just don't have, I have nothing. I have nothing because they don't have anything yet. And there's still mitigation agreements going on, and I don't even really know what's going on with the mitigation agreements because it's being kept pretty close to the vest so that nothing blows up. You know what I mean? Anybody comments about North Carver? Let's do the minutes from October 25th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of October 25th.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of October 25th as written. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? And the minutes of November 16th, this was the Zoom meeting that lasted all of 3 minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of November 16th.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of November 16th, 2021. Any further discussion?
I have one.
Yes.
I would just like the record to reflect just a small change to the line, Adam Holmes abstaining due to his being an at-large applicant on the TASC. I just want to revise it to say at-large member. I was a member at the time, not an applicant. And then I pointed out that the reason why I was abstaining was because that appointment was actually being reviewed that night by the select board.
Yes, but you were no longer a member because the original task committee had disbanded. None of us were members. That was the reason for appointing new everybody's.
So
You were not an existing member, you were a former member. And the statement you made, because I wrote it down, because I cooked these minutes, was that you were being considered that night and you did not feel comfortable voting. You abstained from the vote because you were being considered for the position that night.
So I would
I mean, I'll be more than happy to entertain a motion.
Respectfully, I would say that's not an accurate statement, that the committee was never disbanded. When I was asked if I wanted to remain a member of the committee, I responded in the affirmative, as did everybody else on the committee. The committee was never disbanded. I was never taken off the committee. I was replaced on the committee at that meeting that night.
Okay, so make the amended motion.
I'm just saying, when I was asked the question, I even specifically asked, do I need to attend the meeting on November 16th to advocate on my behalf? And I was told by the select board office that I didn't have to. And then I was still removed from the committee. So I just would like the record to officially reflect what I said, and that is that I'm an at-large member of the Town Administrator's Screening Committee, and that appointment was being reviewed that night by the select board. Because that's the night I was replaced.
So you want applicant
So you want
replaced by
applicant
member?
changed to member?
Applicant changed to member, and that the follow-up statement, and that appointment is being reviewed this evening by the select board. Please.
Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Appointment being
And I,
reviewed that night. I'll correct it.
and we can vote as amended. I'm fine with that, but.
Yeah, so it's going to be Adam Holmes abstaining due to his being an at-large member on the task, and that appointment was being reviewed by the select board that night.
Correct.
So that's accurate. I still would argue that it's the member part, but I don't think any of us were still members, but no matter. So motion made and seconded and amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Well, I don't have any topics tonight. I did promise Pat Maha that I would call him on the phone for the next meeting date, so
Just a little reminder, the next Monday is Valentine's Day.
don't even go
I
there.
thought we were all spending it
Don't
together.
even go there. Well, and I'll spend it here. Bring your little heart candy. You don't have to bring me a card.
Yeah, I had picked out a nice one, too.
I'm sure you did. There's no doubt in my
A big
mind.
So-
box of chocolates.
So you actually want to have a meeting on Valentine's Day?
There's another meeting in the building on Valentine's Day.
Every day's Valentine's Day in your house, right?
Hey, Alan.
Hi, Pat.
Hey.
All right, we're talking about the next meeting date. Ron Clark is crying about next Monday being Valentine's Day.
Not crying, I
He's
just...
afraid you're not gonna bring him a card or some candy.
Oh, okay, well, then he can, the flowers for him are canceled.
There you go. So what is the board's, now, here's where we're at. We still have, now we're gonna look at,
Fire.
planning again.
Yeah.
because we're gonna deal with that software issue. We still have public safety, we have library, council on aging, veteran services, and selectmen. And that's an awful lot to cover in one night. Sorry?
Yeah.
Police and fire.
Yeah, and, well, that's public safety, so public safety is gonna be pretty straightforward this year because you've already done the capital outlay side of public safety, so it's gonna be a pretty quick, I don't think it's gonna be as big a challenge in like it was last year when we were also doing capital outlay. But selectmen's is coming into play, and then all the other committees, or all the other departments rather, so I would like to see us try to get it all done in one more meeting that will probably run a little bit later than it should, because then we
Yeah.
need to have a following meeting with the capital outlay committee. And then the select board has requested, Mark Townsend asked me today if we could do a March 1st joint meeting with the select board. So if we can wrap this up in 2 more meetings, we don't have to take you away from your beloved on Valentine's Day. But if it's gonna turn into 3 meetings, then we're gonna have to have a meeting next Monday,
So-
possibly the following
Well, the-
Thursday, and then the school vacation week.
Well, the 21st is President's Day.
And school vacation
And
week.
vacation. Is there another date next week that anyone could do?
Anyone talk?
And
This is your time.
And I don't want to throw a huge monkey
You're
wrench
going
in
to
it.
Florida.
Nope. Well, no. What about the school?
What about the school?
I think we should have the school come in and present to the finance committee.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. The problem is that we have no input.
So although I understand.
We're still advisory.
Right.
We
should-
I
and we
mean, we're
should-
advisory in all these budgets.
Selectmen can't do anything about the school.
Sure
None
they
of them
can.
can do anything about the
You
school.
can recommend
is if we stand
against.
up at town meeting.
You can recommend against.
Yeah.
There's still,
So you have to understand the budget to have an opinion as to whether you agree or don't agree with the school.
we could still have a level of oversight, offer our opinion, advise, as Mr. Clark said. I think it's a huge disservice to the taxpaying citizens in town if 70% of the town budget is spent on something that has no oversight outside of the school committee.
I don't disagree with that.
We
And I'm
can't,
fine with that. I
we
don't
can't
have a
tell them what
problem.
to do, right?
You can't.
But we can ask questions and,
Well, we really can't tell any department what to do.
No,
Right.
this is true.
We're just, we're making recommendations to town meeting on budgets. Schools are part of the budget.
Okay.
I just think it's too big a part of the budget not to have the discussion.
You can meet without me. The only day I cannot meet is the 16th next week.
No, we're not gonna meet with that.
I'm okay with it. Don't worry about it.
I mean, I can take my wife out on Sunday,
Yes, you can.
all right, so that,
But you never know. All the departments might already have Valentine's plans.
well, that's true too. You can't account for the departments.
Yeah.
How about the 17th, which is a Thursday? There's nothing going on in town hall that day. I've already looked at that calendar.
I'm available.
I think we moved the redevelopment authority meeting to the 17th,
And at what time?
6 o'clock.
Could you do a 7, so you wouldn't be available for a 7 o'clock FinCom?
I could cut it short. I don't have a problem doing the 14th. But if there's others that do, that's okay. I can hit both meetings on the 17th.
We could, that's not gonna help you if we had an earlier meeting. Is everybody available the 14th, or is that really an issue? Seriously?
I probably can. I probably can.
I'm available. I just wonder if you're going to get all the all the departments to come. I don't know.
Which departments would we be having? And maybe we can analyze the relationships with.
We need
those
public
spouses.
safety, we need
Determine.
the rest. Especially now, if you wanna have a school committee, or a
Schools
school,
almost have to be a separate.
Yeah.
unit.
the school has to be its own night.
Yeah.
I think it's important to do the schools. We had this discussion last year too, and I was pretty adamant about I know they get 70% of the budget, it's cut and dried like that, but at the same time, have them come in, give us a presentation. These are the things that are going on. These are the things we did last year. These are some of the new things we're doing this year. I think the exposure and the, speaking in public and to the rest of the town that wants to watch this, I think it's important to have the school committee come. I mean, not the school committee, but the school administration.
I'll reach out to him tomorrow. So I'm kind of liking the 17th, and the only reason I'm thinking that is because exactly what Beth just said. For the 14th, there may be an issue with trying to get public safety and selectmen and the other departments in here on that date.
I can
Okay,
do the
well,
17th.
we'll do the 17th then.
And then how about the 28th for the next one?
The trouble with the 28th is the selectmen want a joint meeting on the 1st.
Okay.
Unless I can push the select board off to the 8th. And excuse me, Bob, do you know if they're having, when we get into March, the 1st is a Tuesday, are they having a meeting the following Tuesday, or are they gonna still stay to their every 2-week schedule as we come down a crunch, do you know?
Well, generally every 2 weeks, but they're putting a special meeting in between. So they may, I mean, Mark's very flexible like that.
He is. I think that I don't have a problem with the 28th, if we do the school on 28th,
Yeah.
and then see if we can't, if we wrapped it up that night and the school goes quick enough, we could kind of hit on the capital outlay side of things and show up the following night to the joint meeting with the select board. Is everybody available on the 28th and the 1st?
Yes.
Yeah, I am.
I am.
So do we need anything on the week of the 21st? I know we can't meet the 21st, it's a holiday, but
I'm open that whole week. I mean, I can certainly have a meeting that week with the week. I don't think you'll get to school because it's
No.
vacation week.
but
You want to do the
anything-
capital outlay that week?
Sure, we could do capital outlay that week.
How about the 24th?
Sure.
The Thursday or I think, yeah, because the Wednesdays will conflict with Concom. So how about the 24th?
We can do the 24th.
Can you do a 24th?
So 17, 24, and 28?
17, 24, and 28,
And first.
and 1st.
I don't think I could do the 24th live. I could try to do it remote. Right now, I have plans to be away.
Oh, yeah, it's vacation week for you, huh? Well, the 24th would be the joint meeting, either with capital outlay, because you're never gonna get to school that week, so it'd be the capital outlay joint meeting.
Yeah.
And that's gonna go pretty quick, but there is
It is.
some potential bonding of money on that capital outlay side, so I really want you to be part of that.
I
We could
I
talk
definitely
about-
want to be for that
Yeah.
reason, so.
I'm
We could
sure.
talk about the bonding though next week, maybe?
Hmm?
On the 17th?
So we're looking at 17, 24, 28, and the 1st.
At this
Next four
point,
meetings.
17, 24, 28, and the 1st. Is everybody that's in the room okay with that?
And you'll just get the schools in on one of those
I'll
days.
get the schools in, and it will have to go on the basis that Pat's on the phone, and there's 6 of us in the room, so there's 7. The 2 members that are missing tonight, if they can make it, they can make it, but we have a quorum. So, I don't mean to be that way, but that's just the way it is. It's gotta get done.
Mhm.
And I just want to make sure all is to be done by the 1st? the
Yeah,
joint
'cause
meeting?
we're up against deadlines for town meeting.
Yep, okay. That works for me.
They pushed the I think the town meeting is sooner this year. It's the
No, it's the 12th or whatever it is.
same,
The 12th.
either that or we're starting later than I thought we should start. I don't know. But I know they gotta be 30 days before.
I think it's actually the 12th, and we've been doing like the second
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Are you all right with all of that, Pat? 17, 24, 28, 1 hike?
Seems to be okay.
All right. And they, thanks to Dave Siedentoff, they fixed the town Wi-Fi, so we're back on.
Oh, okay, good.
So it
Yeah.
looks like the next meeting I'll be able to have you on a Zoom link if you need to be, and you got a double meeting that night, so that'll probably work for you.
Okay, sounds good, Alan.
All right, thanks, Pat.
Thank you. Okay,
Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Yep. Okay. So it looks like the next meeting will be the 17th, and I'm gonna reserve all the times right on the website tonight when I get home. 17, 24, 28, and the 1st. Well, I'm just gonna put the 1st in as a joint meeting, and it's up to the select board to change it.
Do any other committees meet Thursday nights in this room?
No, we used to be all Thursday night until we seemed to be Monday was the better one. But for the first 2 years, FinCom had this room on Thursday nights.
There's nobody on the schedule currently, but
Yeah, I don't think there is, and I'm gonna go plug it up in a hurry so that I get it, so. And that'll keep us in this room, especially with the school, So that's that. Any committee member comments?
Oh, I have one. Don't forget, we have to do the conflict of interest law and the ethics,
Yeah,
right, by next week.
yeah, I've done all that.
But I haven't finished mine.
who do we
And
give
you
that
can,
paperwork to?
you can either send that paperwork, you can give it to Bob right now and he'll put it in Elaine's office, or you can send it to Cara Dayhill. As long as it goes to the clerk, or Elaine can take it, one or the other. And that's that little certificate they print out, the good doobie
The
certificate, yeah.
acknowledgement and the acknowledgement.
Yeah, if you give that
This
to
one's
to
harassment.
Bob, I think Bob can put that in Elaine's office. I think some of it goes to Cara and some of it goes up here, and
Okay.
Okay, make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
you're getting good now. You got right on that. Motion made and seconded to adjourn. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good night, thank you.